I don't agree with that.
Okay, and why do you not agree with that?
Because there's I mean, I don't know if you want me to go verse by verse, but I think in the Quran it states by fact women are not equal to men.
Yeah, but
Um,
men and women are not equal to one another. They're distinct in terms of biology, they're distinct in a multitude of different factors, and there are instances in which men precede women, and there are also instances in which women precede men. They're not identical to one another, so they're not going to be equal. They're
okay, so you
distinct.
acknowledge they're not equal. Okay, so they're not equal.
No, they're in order for two people to be equal, they should be identical, right? In some way, shape,
Mm.
and or form. Right? Men and women are not identical, so they're not going to be equal in terms of the rights that they have, what they can and what they can't do. There are things that women can do that women can't, and vice versa. There are also things that men can do that women can't, right?
Okay, like for example.
All right, yeah. So for example, um, okay. So the Quran says that men are the providers and caretakers of women, right? That they're the head of the household and so on and so forth. And for that reason, they have a degree of responsibility over women, right? And because the women are getting provided for and so on and so forth, and obviously that husband or that man is fulfilling all of their rights, the men, they have a right over the women. So for example, obedience, right? Now, men, they obviously go out, they protect, they provide, and that's what men were created to do. Now, women, obviously,
Mm.
they are the mothers. They are the heads of the household in the sense that they teach their children. They, what is it called? They protect their children. They feed their children, they clothe their children, and so on and so forth. They raise and they raise up the household, right? The men, they go out and they protect and they provide. The women, the matters within the household are restricted to her, right? So, for example, women are the mothers, women are the ones that raise the children, and so on and so forth. And the same way that men, for example, when they go out and they protect and they provide, these men, they are rewarded for going out and doing that. And when women, for example, have children and they raise them and they do good inside of their household, they are also rewarded by God for that,
Hmm.
right? So that's the
So
distinction.
okay. So so you but the presupposition says they're treated the best.
Yeah, they are
So
treated
I
best
understand.
in relation to any other religious framework, relative to any other religious framework. Yes, Islam treats women the best.
Okay, so that's what you defined as you're pretty much saying because they're different sexes, they have different rules in the household,
Yeah, yeah, they have different roles.
but different roles versus exclusion doesn't equate to good.
Wait,
One can have different roles.
exclusion. Wait, hold on.
Yep.
Wait, so exclusion. So, like, let me ask you this. So,
You, s-
do you
you
think
speak
that
Arabic,
men and women, yes, I speak Arabic. Do you
so
think
you know
that
what the
men and
core
women,
man is, right?
do I know what is?
So you know what the core man is. The core man.
What is that?
That isn't that what you guys call it?
The Quran?
Yeah, the QAWWAMUN, I think. The Quaman, the Quamun, maybe the Quamun,
Qawamun, Qawamun.
Quamun. Yeah,
Qawamun.
in Surah, yeah,
Yes,
it
yes,
says that
in
we're
Surah
the
An-Nisa. Yeah,
maintainers.
that's the verse that I was that's the verse that I was quoting.
I
When I
know it
said that
was, but
men, they
but
have a degree of authority over women. Yeah,
yeah, that means
الرجال
there's an
قوامون على
exclusion.
النساء.
Yeah,
No, wait,
that's
hold
an
on.
exclusion. That's
Exclusion?
not
Wait, hold on.
equal.
That's an exclusion for the men and the women. Men aren't, like,
Yeah.
for example, men are the heads of the household. They are forced to protect and provide.
Okay, so what's like, are you Sharia or are you Sunni law? Are you Sunni Muslim?
Am I Sharia or am I Sunni?
No, are you under the Sharia law or are you a Sunni Muslim?
I'm Sunni?
Or, okay, so you're Sunni. So first of all, you're already breaking the Quran according to the Quran. So I wanna ask you a genuine question.
Wait, I'm
What's the
breaking the Quran? How? Go ahead.
Yeah, because you're Sunni. You don't appeal to Hadith.
Sunnis don't appeal to hadiths?
Yeah. I mean, do you appeal to the Hadith? Because if you do, then women are not treated good according to your Quran.
Sunnis do accept hadiths. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you're not going to accept the hadith that I give you,
Yeah,
which contradict to your premise.
as long as it's the case that the hadith are authentic, yeah, they're going to be accepted, bud. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure. How do you define authentic, real quick?
Graded as sahih. Graded as sahih.
You said graded.
Yes, graded as
Can you tell me
sahih.
what that means?
Okay, so you know that when it comes to hadith, we have hadith that are authentic and inauthentic. We have sahih,
Mm,
we have hasan, we have da'if. As long as you bring me a hadith that is sahih, I'm gonna accept it.
mm. So
So go
okay,
ahead.
well, I can do both. So I'm gonna just start with my main one, which is the Quran verse. But if you deny it, I'm gonna just run to the hadith, which
Deny
you can
it.
try to.
I'm not gonna deny a Quran verse, bud.
Well, that's what they all say, but then they tell me Aisha is not six. So I want to ask you a genuine question. So in the Quran, 65 verse 4 states that as for you women past the age of menstruation, in case you do not know, their waiting period is also 3 months. And those who have not menstruated as well, those are also 3 months. And those of you who are pregnant, their
Your
waiting
waiting
period
period
ends with
ends with
delivery.
birth. Yes.
So quick question: does your Quran, yes or no, does it not sanction children to get married off prepubescent women who haven't had their menstrual cycle for sexual intercourse? True or
No.
false?
No. False.
Okay, cool. So please define, please define this. What does this
Define
mean
what?
then? So when it says, "and those of you," this is the waiting period
Those
for
of you
women who
have
have
not
divorced.
menstruated, right?
Yes, this is the waiting period for women who have been divorced. You have to wait 3 months. Why
Yep.
is a
And
woman who
those who
hasn't
have
had her
not
menstrual
menstruated.
cycle waiting
Wait,
three
hold
months?
on. So let's go ahead and check something. Let's see if you're a smart guy. Do you
Sure.
think that people can be mature even before they bleed?
Intellectually or biologically?
Biologically, can
No,
somebody
because
become an
biologically,
adult
in order to
before
be
bleeding?
mature, biologically, in order to be mature, you would have to be biologically developed.
Yeah, and does biological development in its entirety require menstruation?
First of all, that's a straw man. Entirely, no, but it's a part of it.
Okay, so can somebody be biologically developed enough for marriage without menstruating?
Biologically enough without menstruating, no, because it depends. Is your action in marriage is like coitus, like like reproduction? Are you gonna do the do, or is it just the relationship status?
No, like everything that comes with marriage, including intimacy.
Of course not.
Can an
No. If a
wait,
woman cannot have a period, no. Why is she getting married off? That she's a child.
so
That's
every woman that doesn't menstruate is a child?
by the definition of a child. You want me to pull it up in the dictionary for you here? So a child is
A
someone who is
child is somebody
prepubescent.
prepubescent. And
Exactly.
pubescence,
Like,
wait, hold on, hold
like
on. And pubescence is attained before menstruation. So menstruation is not a requirement for pubescence because you can
wait.
be pubescent without bleeding. So you just baked yourself. Now, the next thing that I'm going to bake you on
So wait a
is
minute,
wait, hold
bleeding.
on,
This
hold
has
on.
nothing to do
And then
about
next,
bleeding.
wait, does the verse not literally say those who have not
So
menstruated, which is to bleed?
no. The definition of a child says that it's a young human being below the age of puberty,
Yeah,
and
and
this is
puberty happens before menstruation.
so. One
Puberty
second.
happens before you menstruate.
I agree. So now let me ask you in the
Perfect. So
Quran
you
verse
can,
when it
okay,
says,
beautiful, beautiful. So you just conceded your argument because the
why are you
Quran, wait, hold on,
crashing out?
I'm speaking. You
Calm
just
down.
conceded your entire argument because you said
Okay.
that the Quran sanctions prepubescent marriage and consummation, and then you conceded that you become pubescent even prior to menstruation. So the Quran is not sanctioning that because you already conceded that you
Okay, so
become
that's a straw
pubescent
man.
before you bleed. So thank you
So
very
that's a
much.
straw
You just
man.
baked yourself.
That's a straw
You just
man. So
baked
one
yourself.
second.
Okay, where's the straw man? How do I
Yeah, sure.
misrepresent your
So the
argument?
straw man is when you take an argument that I claim and you change it and you reverse it as if that was my original statement. That's
Wait,
not what
did
my
you not
original
say?
statement
Wait,
was.
okay, so then I'll reiterate the
Please let me
argument. Wait,
reinstate
hold
it.
on. So,
No.
no, no,
Please
no, I'm
let me
gonna
reinstate my
reiterate. Wait, hold
premise,
on. I'm
or
gonna
you can
let
talk
you
over me.
reiterate what I said previously so we
So
can
it
see
was
if
my
I strawmanned
claim.
you. For everybody in this live, did he not say that because the Quran
Let's appeal
says
to audience
those who have
fallacy.
not. Wait, hold on. Shh.
This is me and you.
Did
Don't
you
worry
not
about your
say,
chat.
wait, hold on. Well, I'm making sure that the 300 people in this live can attest to whether or not I strawmanned your argument because they heard your argument
Okay.
and they also heard what I said. Did you not say that the reason why the Quran essentially legislates that type of marriage is because you said that it says those who have not yet menstruated. And you said that because it says those who have not yet menstruated, that means they're prepubescent and therefore
So,
children. Did you say that
so,
or did you not say that?
yeah. So one second. So
It's
I
a yes
did
or
say.
no question.
Hey, wait a minute. Can you like not do
Wait,
that?
hold
Like
on. It's a
be
yes.
mature
Wait, hold
about
on.
this.
I am being mature. However, if you don't
Your
answer
core
yes
is
or
all
no
spiking. Calm
questions,
down.
hold on. However, if you don't answer simple questions, I'm gonna have
So
to
I did.
press you into a
That
yes or
was half
no.
of. One second.
So,
I can
yes or
acknowledge that's
no.
part of what I said.
Is that
But
not the argument? Your argument is that
that's not the only thing I
65-4
said.
is your argument, not that 65-4 legislates child marriage because it says that the second category of women have not menstruated.
So one.
Is
So
that correct or
please.
incorrect?
That's part of it. Yes, but that's not
But
my
is
entire
is that the
argument.
arg is
That's
that the
part of my argument.
is that the general idea within your
No.
argument? I'm
So
not
the
gonna
general idea of the argument is this. Okay. I asked you to answer this truthfully, and then you
wait, that's
started
not
like
the general
saying a lot of
idea of the
words.
argument?
The general idea is this: the Quran states word for word, women have 3 months to wait before remarriage. Mind you, this means that a woman who hasn't had menstrual cycle yet, 3 months prior to being in a relationship with sexual intercourse or whatever the case might be. Mind you, this is specifically talking about the biological development. Yes or no?
Biological development. It's just all it says
Okay.
is a woman who has not menstruated.
Okay. So now
So
let
I'm
me
gonna
ask you
ask
this.
you, does
Now,
this imply prepubescence?
does it imply? I mean,
By
define
necessity, wait, so I'll
prepubescent.
ask you this. By necessity, does a woman not menstruating mean she's a child? By necessity.
She's a child. Yeah, she's probably a child. Yes.
No, I'm asking by necessity, which means in every case, if somebody has not yet
Oh, so you're gonna
menstruated, are
cherry
they a
pick right
child?
now?
No, I'm not
That's
cherry
so
picking. Wait, hold on.
embarrassing for you.
How is that cherry picking? I literally said in every case. So I'm not cherry picking one case in this case. I'm saying in every case. How is that cherry picking? What? So I'm asking you, by necessity, in every case, if a woman has not menstruated, is she considered a child?
So, I mean, a female who hasn't had her menstrual cycle yet, is she biologically a child? I would argue that that's most of the time she is, but not necessity. No.
Beautiful. So your argument is that the Quran is talking about children being married because it says that these women have not yet menstruated. And unless you can demonstrate that by
Mhm.
necessity somebody not menstruating means that they're a child, then you are incapable of demonstrating that by necessity the Quran is
Yeah.
talking about
So
children.
let me show you how this is correlated to a child. So
Go
two
ahead.
things. One, the definition of a child: someone who isn't fully developed. Two, someone that's prepubescent, someone who hasn't had the ability to have puberty and the glands start or take off. And number three, the fact that you're pretending this doesn't involve a child, knowing that Aisha was 6 years old, is just totally
Yeah, but
fallacious
we're
of
not
you.
talking about Aisha. We're talking about
Well,
one
I'm gonna
verse
bring
in the
this into.
Quran.
Well, you already know
Wait,
I'm
hold
bringing
on,
up
hold on. But
Aisha.
we can
That's who I'm
talk about.
bringing
Wait,
up.
hold on. But we can talk about that after. I want to make sure that you
Well, it's
concede on
contingent.
65-4. It's
Yes,
define. Okay, define contingent.
contingent. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you know what the word contingent means?
Define contingent. Yeah, I want to make sure you know what it means.
Yeah, I do know what it means.
Okay, go ahead. Define it then.
Yeah,
Don't
it's gonna
embarrass
be
yourself.
something. It's gonna be subject to chance.
Okay, subject to chance. So it could or could not. It could or could not correlate, right?
Well, it's contingent on the nature of the verse. Yes,
It's contingent on the nature of the verse. So how is it
yes,
contingent upon the nature of the verse? Go ahead. Explain that.
because the Quran verse is by definition stating these statistics. Excuse me, stating a fact of a wait period to get remarried, which means that they're acknowledging that women who haven't even had this biological process developed yet, they were
They
already getting
have a waiting
sanctioned
period,
off.
yes. They have a waiting
But
period.
they were already.
So, but
Why
you
are they
already,
already getting
wait, hold
sanctioned
on.
off?
But you already conceded that a lack of menstruation doesn't mean you're a child. So you conceded the argument from the get go.
Okay, so let me ask
Because
you this
you
then.
conceded, wait, I'm in the middle of talking. Don't freak out. It's okay. I know your cortisol is spiking. You already conceded,
Why are you using
shh,
my words?
you already conceded that a girl or a woman not having her menstrual cycle does not by necessity imply that she is prepubescent, because you conceded that becoming pubescent happens prior to menstruation. So you become pubescent before you even bleed, right? So if you become pubescent before you even bleed, then that means that menstruation is not a requirement for pubescence, as per the definition that you gave of a child, which is somebody that has not yet reached puberty. If you concede puberty happens before menstruation, then you concede that this verse isn't by necessity talking about children, because you can be pubescent even prior to bleeding.
Okay, now if that were to be the case, why is there that there's multiple hundreds and thousands cases of women between the ages of 8 and 13 being married and sanctioned off to 50-year-old men
Nothing about
in
Islam.
Iraq.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about Islam. You said the Quran and the Hadith. So stick to
Yes,
Islam.
this is
Don't
Quran.
talk
This
about,
is
wait, hold
the
on.
Quran.
So
Yes,
show me where,
Muslim
wait, so
men.
show me where in the Quran that happens.
Yeah, Aisha.
Within the Quran? Show me where that is
Well,
within
you
the
said
Quran.
you appeal to the Hadith, don't you?
Well,
Which means it's
well, well,
related
hold on,
to the
bud.
Quran.
Yeah, well, bud.
See
You
what I mean?
said
She's gonna
within
deny
the
the Hadith, Chad.
Quran. Yeah, well, you said within the Quran, so I'm
I
holding
told
you
you
to
I was
that.
gonna use
Is
both. I
that
told you you're
within the
gonna deny the
Quran?
Quran, and then I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
the
well,
Hadith,
hold
which
on.
is what you're
Yeah,
doing.
wait, hold on. Yeah, well, 20 seconds ago you said it's within the Quran. So
It
are you
is in the
getting baked right
Quran.
now? Okay, show me where in
It
the
is in the
Quran.
Quran.
Show me
Okay,
where.
what part do you want me to show you?
Where Aisha radiallahu anha's marriage is in the Quran. You said you're going to use the
Where
Quran 30
Aisha got
seconds
married in the
ago.
Quran?
You said that. You said you can find it within the Quran. Do you want to? We can run VIR right now and you can hear what you said.
Well, I mean, wait a minute. So
Wait, do you
if
want to
it's
run VIR? We can play it back for you if you want.
so wait, hold on. So wait,
Did
hold
you
on. So when the
say, wait, hold
Quran
on,
says the
did you or did you,
Hadith,
wait, hold on. Did you or did you not say that you can find this in the Quran? Because we'll run VIR if you want to lie.
no. I did say that. So when I
Perfect, so
say
find
it's
it
in
for
the
me in the
Quran,
Quran.
yeah, sure. So when the Quran says that the Hadiths are truth claims, then that means objectively it is
You said
precise
within the
for me to use
Quran.
for
You
the
said
Quran.
within the Quran without utilizing inference. Is it within the
No, I
Quran or do
never
you want
said
to
without
do
utilizing
you
any
want to
inference. You
use
such
the
a
do you want to
ew. Why
use
are
the
you
Quran?
lying?
Do you
Why are you defending a
ew?
child raper?
Okay, and you just embarrassed yourself. Ew, why'd you get so sassy out of nowhere? You're so embarrassing. Why are you being sassy, bro? What the heck? I'm the woman and you're being sassier than me. What in the world, bro? What is going on? Did he say ew? Yeah, that's dramatic, isn't it? That's what happens when you're dishonest, chat. That's what happens when you're dishonest. Anyways, guys, let's get the likes to 50k. Let's get the likes to 50k, inshallah. Lol, he's holy low testosterone? Not for real. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the next person. Yeah, hello? Hello? Okay, it seems that person just wanted to, roll over in bed. You can do that when you're not on the panel. Barakallahu feek. Alright.
Oh,
Hello?
hello there, Cora. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Just came to address the prompt.
For sure. Yep, let's get it.
Yeah, I just came across a fatwa from a mufti in Saudi Arabia regarding mufakata, which is related to Muhammad when he was still engaged to Aisha when she was 6. And are you familiar with what that term is?
Wait, hold on. What is the word? Repeat it.
MUFA, mufakata. MUFAAKHATA.
Okay, what mufti, what fatwa, who are you talking? We're talking about Islam, by the way. So whatever
Oh,
fatwa
yeah.
you have doesn't apply to the topic.
It's from Saudi Arabia, from a mufti
Yeah,
in
I
Saudi
don't.
Arabia.
Yeah, but we're talking about Islam. Islam is Quran and Sunnah. It's not mufti from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, this is ruling off of Quran and Hadith and
Okay, so then quote the
subsequent.
Quran and Hadith then. Don't quote a
Yeah,
mufti
it's
from Saudi
related
Arabia.
to
Quote
65.
the Quran and the Hadith.
This is related to 65:4 and the Hadith about Aisha being married at 6 and consummated at 9.
Okay, sure. So don't quote the mufti from Saudi Arabia. Quote the Hadiths and quote the verse then.
You know the Hadith. You deal with them all the time. I'm giving
Okay,
you the
so then
ruling.
quote it.
Yeah, so it's a little explicit. Are you sure?
I'm not asking you to quote the fatwa. I don't want you to quote the fatwa because it has nothing to do with the topic. I want you to quote the verse and I want you to quote the hadith. I don't care about what the mufti from Saudi Arabia said.
Yeah, so 65:4 allows you to marry women with a 3-month waiting period before they get their periods.
Okay,
And
and
we know that Aisha got married at 6. The marriage was consummated at 9.
okay.
And then the fatwa relates to an
I said
incident.
not the fatwa, but I want you to quote the
Okay.
hadith. I don't
Yeah,
care about the
so how do
fatwa.
we
If the
know what
fatwa
happened
quotes a
after?
hadith, if the fatwa quotes a hadith, then quote the hadith. Don't quote the fatwa.
It's a legal ruling, my dear. Like, there's
Yeah,
no escaping.
a
I
legal
have the
ruling
number, the
established. Wait, hold
fatwa
on.
number.
A legal ruling from who? We get
The
our
names are
legal
on the
rulings, yeah,
fatwa.
but we get our legal rulings from the Kitab and Sunnah, the Quran and the Sunnah. So if you want to say that a legal ruling within Islam is X, Y, and Z, then go ahead and quote the Quran and the Sunnah. Don't quote to me some fatwa, because Mufti from Saudi Arabia does not establish Islamic rulings. That's not how that works.
No, it's the fatwa is basically explaining an incident that happened between Aisha and Muhammad when she was 6
Okay, is it in a
at Abu
hadith?
Bakr's
Wait,
house.
hold on. Is it in a hadith?
It can be found in a hadith, yes, but not
So
on
then,
sunnah.com, but I
okay,
have that.
so then quote the hadith.
Hold on, let me see if I
So
can
give me
find
the
it on the
hadith number,
screen.
give me the book, and give me the number. Raise the gain on your mic. No idea how to do that, can't lie. Let's see. Shoot. Audio
You know,
effects.
Cora, I'm gonna come back with it, but just look up mufakata. I need you to know what this is for our next
You're
conversation.
gonna come back with the hadith?
I'll come back with the hadith where it says Muhammad married Aisha when she was 3, not 6, in Arabic. So I need you
3.
to yes. The
Okay,
Arabic
sure.
says he consummated the marriage at 9 and he was already married to her for 6 years, not at the age of 6. So I'll
Okay,
get
sure.
the
And you
hadith.
speak Arabic, right?
I've confirmed it with my Arabic speaking friends. I do not
Okay,
read
so
Arabic
so
myself.
so I want you to bring that hadith to me in Arabic, and we'll read it in Arabic. And we'll see if it says
Yes,
that.
yes,
Okay.
yes, for sure. I don't want to, like be bashing you. I respect what you do. So we'll
All right,
do
for sure.
this
Make sure
another
you come
time,
back.
okay?
All right, make sure you come
Yeah.
back with the hadith. All right.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, for sure. Okay, bro. Bro's mixing up the Bible with the Quran. Nah, for real, bro. As devious. All right. Joke, man. New Arabic teacher unlocked. Nah, for real. Yo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How can I help you? Okay, and he left. That's interesting. All right. Yo.
Your face is covered. Enough said.
What's wrong with covering my face? Covering my face is cool. I have an aura like this. All right. Well, enough said, I guess. Me covering my face, enough said. What the heck?
Blessings, blessings. Can you hear me?
Indeed, I can. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How can I help you?
Amen, amen. I respect everybody, but Jesus is God. I really just came here to say that. On judgment, we're all gonna have to bow to Jesus,
But
So,
Jesus says that he's not God.
yeah, I'm not here to argue.
Jesus says that he's
Jesus
not
is
God, though.
God.
He left. What the heck? Bro, you came up here to preach. I said Jesus said he's not God, though. And he's like, oh, I'm leaving. Bro, you're a bot. What is going on? On the day of judgment, Jesus is going to bow to God. It's as simple as that. That's what's going to happen. On the day of judgment, Jesus is going to bow to God. He's going to bow to Allah. Yo?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm always blessed. Thank you for asking.
That's good to hear. All right, how can I help you?
Yeah, so I was just scrolling my For You page and I seen that Islam treats women best. So are you saying as only the religion or
Yes,
like
the
Islam
religion.
as a whole? Okay, okay. So I mean, I was gonna use examples like, for example, countries under Islamic rule and stuff, but since obviously you're saying just the religion itself, I mean, I would just say like, for example, like unequal inheritance and like just in general, they aren't like placed as equally as men.
Okay.
If
All
yeah.
right, for sure. Let's talk about this then. So, men and women don't get the same inheritance, and men and women are not equal. But those are your issues, so that's why Islam doesn't treat women best?
Not just that, but let's put it this way. For example, many Islamic men, I mean, from the media and stuff, I'm not saying because I'm not Muslim myself, you know. So I just from what I hear and from what you can see, like I guess online, is like how women are like should be a certain way basically. Like I feel like there's a lot of I don't know how to say the word in English, but machismo, like misogyny, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm using the correct word or
Yeah, but
term.
misogyny is an um prejudice or hate or like contempt towards women. Islam doesn't teach that. Islam doesn't teach prejudice, contempt, or hate towards women at all. That's not what Islam teaches. Islam teaches that the best of you are those who are best to your women. That's what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. But to address the points that you made, right? You made 2 points. You said women not being equal, and you said women not having the same amount of inheritance as men, right? Islam says that women and men don't get equal inheritance. Like, let's say, for example, if the father dies and the assets are split more towards the son than the daughter, right? And the reason as to why that is because, like, let's say, for example, in this hypothetical situation, we have the father that passed away, and what's left is the mother and the children. Let's say we have a son and we have a daughter, right? The son is going to get more inheritance. And why is that? Because it is incumbent upon the son now to take care of the family now that the father is gone. So, of those assets, we have the assets going to the daughter that she is capable of spending on herself and only herself, right? She's not obligated to provide for anyone other than herself. And then we have the son that is obligated to take care of his family, which is why more assets go to him, because those assets are utilized to take care of the family members. He can't just get all of these assets and spend it on a new PS5 and go out with his friends and spend all of his money. No, those assets go towards providing for the family, whilst the assets that the woman gets is solely for her and nobody can take it from her. So the man in this instance, the reason why he gets more inheritance is because he has responsibility over the family, and that money is going to be used to what? To provide for the family members. That's why there's more inheritance for the son in this instance, right?
Okay, you know, that's understandable. I'm not gonna lie to you, that is understandable.
Okay, and then
Um,
with equality, because you also mentioned the equality aspect, right?
yeah.
Men and women not being equal. Now, when we say equality here, what do you mean by equality? Let's establish that first. What does equality mean to you?
Right. Well, equality, I would say maybe like education and stuff like that. Like, let's put it this way. Like, I know many people might know, like, for example, under Taliban rule, for
Whoa,
example,
whoa, whoa!
that,
You can't say that word on TikTok. You can't say that word on
oh, I
TikTok.
can't? Oh,
Yeah, but
okay, I'm
that
sorry.
specific, we can say under that specific. Okay, let's address it like that then. If education is the first thing that you want to bring up, Islam doesn't restrict women from education. Islam generally and for everyone encourages the seeking of knowledge, right? It doesn't say only men can seek knowledge, but rather Islam generally and says that the one who strives towards knowledge, Allah is going to make the path to heaven easier for them, right? So Islam doesn't say that women aren't allowed to have education, right? And if we see people essentially oppressing women and not allowing for them to seek knowledge, that's not an Islamic practice, right?
Right.
But when we say equality, you mean like rights in terms of specific things. Like what rights do you think in Islam a man has that a woman doesn't have?
Um, what about, I mean, I wouldn't really, if I'm being honest with you, I can't really come up with something like from what I know from my mind to basically give you an example. Like I'm being all honest.
Okay.
But another big thing, like if you can even also answer that, is like polygamy as well, because
Polygamy.
yeah, exactly, yeah, that's what I mean. What in my opinion isn't like equal as well, because how can someone have multiple wives but not, you know, a wife have multiple husbands,
Okay.
which vice versa, in my opinion, you know, is not the best thing.
Okay, I understand. So, why exactly, according to Islam, is it permissible for a man to have multiple spouses, but for a woman it's not allowed? That's your question, correct?
Correct.
All right, so there's a multitude of reasons. Number one, we believe that everything that God legislates is going to be correct by necessity. Because God obviously has foreknowledge of everything that happens, everything that is going to happen, and so on and so forth, and he knows what rulings are going to be correct or incorrect for a society, right? So if a man can have multiple spouses and God legislates it, it's because there's some sort of a wisdom in it, right? Now, we believe Islamically that men, although they are capable of having multiple spouses, not only do we believe that he is also capable of just having one spouse, but it's encouraged for him to only have one spouse, right? So it's encouraged for him to take one. However, it is permissible for him to take multiple, only if it's the case that he can provide for them, right? And he can essentially equally provide for them at that. And what equally provide for them means is we believe that, as I mentioned previously, the men in the household, they have to take care of their women. Whether it be a father taking care of his daughter, whether it be a brother taking care of his sister, or whether it be a husband taking care of his wife, right? And obviously that's a large financial burden. You'd agree with me, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a large financial burden. Let's say when the husband is providing literally everything for the wife, and the wife by necessity doesn't really need to provide for anything at all, because when she marries this man, the man essentially makes it obligatory for himself to provide for her and to protect her and to give her everything which she is accustomed to and everything that she is deserving of, right? Now, imagine that multiplied by 4. It's obviously not going to be easy for the average person, nor is it going to be a practice that the average person is even going to be capable of partaking in a permissible manner. But why is it allowed for men and not for women? That's the initial question, or that's what it's boiled down to, right?
Correct. Because my I guess my point and my stance is really just like, I mean, equality for me, opinion based is important. Everyone should be equal, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but here's the thing. Equality, the way that I see equality is I see if two people are going to be equal in terms of the rights that they have, these two people also need to be identical in terms of, like, let's say we have a man and a man, right? We have two men. They're identical in terms of they are both men, right? However, when we have a man and a woman, we believe that men and women are created with roles, right? There are things that men are required to do that women aren't required to do. There are things that men are allowed to do that women aren't allowed to do. And there are also things that women are allowed to do that men aren't allowed to do, right? So it's not necessarily equality in the sense that men and women have identical rights, because if men and women had identical rights, then men and women would also have to have identical responsibilities, right? So if, for example, we have men and women having identical inheritance from the father, for example, the wisdom behind the man having more inheritance is that he is going to provide for the family members, right? Now, if the daughter has equal inheritance, right, then what would be intuitive is that the daughter is the one that takes care of the family members. But we don't believe that that's the way in which it should be structured. We believe that in society, the way things should be structured is that men protect women, right? Men take care of women, and that is their responsibility. They have no other choice. They were created for that purpose. And for that reason, that's why we have inheritance being more for the men, because they use that inheritance to protect the women and to provide for the women. Now, men and women, because they don't have identical responsibilities, they're also not going to be identical in terms of what they can and can't do. For example, there are a lot of things that women can do that men can't. There are things that women can wear Islamically that men can't wear. There are things that women can go out and do that men can't do, and vice versa. There are also things that men can do that women can't. So it's not equality in the sense that their rights are identical. We believe in equity. We believe that women have their own rights respective to their gender, and we believe that men have their own rights also respective to their gender.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because I believe that in Islam, men and women, and you would agree with me, men and women aren't identical. They're
they
distinct from one another.
Exactly.
Okay, so they're distinct. And when two things or two people are distinct, they're also going to have distinct responsibilities and distinct purposes in life and so on and so forth, right? For example, when we have a woman living in society, this woman is protected, this woman is provided for, and so on. And respectively, this woman, like let's say if she's married, she raises the kids. She is the head of her household in the sense that she dictates everything within her household. And we have the man going out and providing and working and essentially breaking his back to make sure that his family gets everything that they need and everything that they deserve. He goes out and if need be, he fights for his family as well. And that's because that's the role that he has in life. So respective roles have respective responsibilities and they also have respective rights. So that's what we call equity. We don't call it equality, we call it equity.
Right. So you're saying each person has their own purpose, is what you're saying.
Yes, and with that distinct purpose comes distinct responsibilities and distinct rights. Yes.
Okay. I understand completely if you want to move on to the next person, but I also have a few more questions to
But
debate.
by all means, yeah,
That's
you
okay?
can. Yeah, you can bring up a couple more questions. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So what about, for example, like you can't quote me on this with all honesty, I have not read the Quran. But from what I have heard is that wife discipline is something that is spoken about on the Quran.
Okay, sure. So discipline in meaning what? Like you being able to like beat the heck out of your wife or whatever it may be? No, Islam doesn't say that. What Islam does mention and what the Quran does mention in Surah An-Nisa verse 34, it says that in an instance in which the wife is literally oppressing the husband, that's what it's called in Arabic, it's called nushuz, it's a type of oppression, right? It's a type of essentially you forsaking the rights of your husband who is giving you everything that you need and deserve. So remember the example that I gave previously. The husband, Islamically, he's required to literally give you everything that you need. And some of, like for example, the madahib, which is like it's jurisprudential, which means rulings, the rulings within Islam, they go as far as to say that if a woman is accustomed to having a cup of coffee every morning, then the husband is required to provide that for her Islamically. And if the woman, it goes even further, it says if the woman is accustomed to a maid to help her cook and clean, then the man is required to give her that. So imagine in this hypothetical situation, the woman is being provided all of these things respective to what she was accustomed to, right? And she is essentially going against the rights of her husband. Right? I'll give an example of a right. So we believe that in marriages, in relationships, intimacy, it's a two-way street, right? Men have the right to intimacy in a marriage, and so do women. So like let's say, for example, the man is fulfilling all of the rights of a woman, whether it be in intimacy, whether it be her financial rights, whether it be good treatment, and so on and so forth, and she is essentially depriving him of his. Now,
Right.
but the Quran mentions 3 ways to go about it, and it's in step form. So it says the first thing that you do is you advise her and you speak to her, right? And this can go on until you are sure that it's no longer going to work, that she is going to continue persisting. And then the second step is to separate from her in bed. And this doesn't mean go and sleep on the couch. This means not being intimate with her, right? And this continues, obviously, for an extended period of time until obviously it's very obvious that you're not going to get anywhere with it. And then the last step is what people interpret as you being able to like harm your wife, right? Islam says no to this. What the verse is referring to, and we can actually use the Quran to interpret the Quran. So it's referring to a strike, right? And this strike cannot cause harm whatsoever. This strike cannot leave a bruise. It cannot be in the face. It cannot break a bone, and so on and so forth. It can't do any of that. So then you'll ask, okay, what's the point of it then? If it can't cause harm, if it's not meant to cause harm in any way, shape, or form, what's the point of it? The point of it is essentially it's meant to indicate the severity of an action. So it's meant to indicate the fact that the woman is literally oppressing the man. And the reason why it is the last step is because right after this comes discussing a divorce, right? Because nobody is going to stay in a relationship in which in this relationship they're literally being oppressed, right? They're doing everything that they can to help this person and to give this person everything that they need, and they are still essentially they're not meeting them halfway, right? So this strike this strike in this instance, or literally as the tafasir say, this tap, right? Because we interpret it the way that, the Sahaba, which are the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Prophet himself interpreted. And they compare what you do it with to this like small little stick. It's called a miswak. And it's what they used to use to brush their teeth, right? And they also say a handkerchief. Now, you know what a handkerchief is. It's what you use to, like, for example, like blow your nose. It's made out of fabric, right?
Right.
That obviously, if I do this to somebody with a handkerchief, it's not going to cause them any sort of harm or pain, right?
No.
Exactly. So that goes to show that the intention of it isn't to cause harm, right? It's not to, in any way, shape, or form, humiliate or disgrace the woman in any way, shape, and or form. But rather, it's just meant to signify to her that her actions have gone too far, and that if they persist, it's going to result in a divorce. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes sense completely. But also, a question for me is like, why should in a religion in general, why should physical discipline be like allowed?
Okay, so
No matter the damage. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's a fair point. So with regards to discipline, right? There's a reason why it's the last step in the situation. There's also a reason why it's not something that's encouraged, right? It's not encouraged to even get this far. And the reason why is because it's not something that should be happening in the first place. You shouldn't be getting that far. So it's saying in the situations in which it's so severe that it does get that far, then you do that. But even they go as far as to say, if you are certain, you have some sort of a conviction that if you do this, it's still not going to work, then you're not even allowed to do that, right? So this is for the most extreme of cases that shouldn't be coming about in the first place. So obviously, Islam, it preaches against the harm and the disgrace of women and so on and so forth. There's a reason why it's with things such as a handkerchief, right? And there's also a reason why we have a verse in the Quran that talks about, an altercation happening with a prophet and his wife, to which when the prophet was in a severe case of sickness, he essentially, out of anger and upset, he vowed and he made essentially a swear by Allah. He swore by Allah that he was going to strike his wife. To which, when he became okay, he said, okay, I don't want to break my oath, but I'm not going to harm my wife. To which Allah essentially commands him and he says, okay, so this is how you're going to make sure that you don't break your oath. You're going to do so with a couple pieces of, or blades of grass, right? And it was essentially to indicate to the woman, or the wife in this instance, that she was truly essentially oppressing her husband or hurting her husband or whatever it may be. If you read the story of that prophet, his wife was extremely, extremely bad towards him or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
That's the reason why. The wisdom behind it is, first off, it's in extreme situations. It doesn't happen in the average situation where you're having an argument with your, I'll paint that picture for you, because this is something that probably happens and it shouldn't be happening. Which prophet is it? It's Ayub. This is something that shouldn't be happening, and this is what Islam preaches against, right? Like, let's say you're having an argument with your wife and you go and you essentially slap her, right? Islam says no, not allowed, right? Because it's not supposed to be in this situation where you're using it as a means of harm or whatever it may be. The only reason why it's allowed is so it indicates to her that her action is wrong and severe, right? And if that doesn't work, then you can't go a step further and harm her. You're not allowed to do that Islamically. The next step in a situation like that is you start discussing divorce. You start discussing, okay, I'm done with this relationship.
Exactly.
Right? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, completely. 100,000% it makes sense.
Okay, perfect. And you said you had more than one question? Do you have any questions other than that?
Yes and no, meaning that I do have a question for your personal opinion, but
Okay.
not specifically about the prompt, if that's okay.
About my personal, sure, you could ask a question about my personal opinion, but then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next person if you don't have any,
Okay, sounds
issues
good.
with the
And I
prompt.
appreciate your time again, by the way.
Of course, by all means.
Okay, perfect. So I'm a Christian, right? So what's your personal opinion about believers of Christ and you know, the religion in general? What's your personal opinion?
So, my personal opinion, obviously, I have a lot of conversations with Christians. I believe that Christianity is a religion that is not in line with God's teachings and Jesus's teachings, for that matter. And the reason why I say that is because I believe that it even details in the Old and New Testament, it kind of denounces what Christianity is today, right? I believe that Jesus, he emphasized complete and utter monotheism. He emphasized the worship of the one true God and only the one true God, right? And he personally only worships the Father who was the one true God. So when we see Christianity or Christians going on and, for example, worshiping Jesus and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Trinity or whatever it may be, I would say that this is contrary to what Jesus intended on preaching. This isn't the religion that Jesus would have wanted you to be a part of. And what it means to be a true Christian is to follow what Jesus taught, which is the worship of only the one true God that he himself he addressed as his God, right? So what Jesus did in the Bible is that he addressed the one true God, the Father, as his God. Jesus is obviously addressed as a prophet, he's addressed as the Messiah, he's addressed as a righteous man, and so on and so forth. And me as a Muslim, I agree with that. But where I disagree is where the Christians say that he's God. And where I also disagree with the crucifixion, but that's another conversation. But fundamentally, my opinion on Christianity is I think that the way Christianity has went is a complete and utter diversion from what Jesus intended for his people.
Okay. Well, I truly appreciate again your time and your opinion. And I also, if it's okay, I also want to state something.
For sure, by all
Right
means.
before I leave. Because I see by the time obviously that we're talking and we're debating and stuff, there's like a whole bunch of people like all over the place. So I just want to say I feel like as Christians and Muslim siblings, we should all respect each other at the end of the day, and we have our own beliefs and our own opinions at the end of the day, as since we have our own conscience and our own brain, even though there is differences that I feel like we should all and we could all get along truly. And I again respect you, and I respect for you truly giving me your time and helping me out, and answering questions that I had on my mind recently. So
I appreciate you. All right, for sure,
thank you
man.
so very much.
All right,
Respect
take
again.
care
You
of
have a
yourself,
blessed
man.
day.
You too, take care. Bruh. I love when there are good conversations. I love when the conversations are civil and like people are actually listening to the responses that are being given. Okay, let's move on to the next person. All right, guys, let's get the likes to 100K, inshallah. Let's get the likes to 100K. Yo, hello? Okay, this guy is not talking. That brother is not with us, I fear. I fear that brother is not with us, I fear. Alright. Yo?
Can you hear me?
Indeed I can, how are you?
I'm sorry. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking. How can I help you?
Yeah, I just wanted to join and talk on the prompt a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I've never read the Quran, just start with that. My basis is like no religion is necessarily set up for women or like necessarily treats them the best, right? But from my understanding, there's a couple of different things, and I just wanted to get your clarification on it. Like, as far as I hope this isn't disrespectful, um, but with you wearing a full hijab, is that a choice, or are you married? Is it something that was
Oh
set
yeah,
up?
it's a choice. It's a choice. I choose to, obviously.
Okay.
I do believe that it's an obligation from an Islamic standpoint. I believe that it's obligatory for Muslim women to wear hijab, but I personally took the step to put it on, obviously. Nobody externally was forcing you to.
Yes. Yeah, because I understand you still have the choice, right?
Yes.
And my biggest thing, like I grew up Mormon, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
like the polygamy side, but I did see the effects of that. And to my understanding, you are encouraged to have one wife, right? But you can take on other wives. And the assumption for that is if you can provide, right? Which is beautiful. In this day and age, most houses are dual income houses though. So like how are you how would it be like looked at to take on more wives in this day and age? I
In
just
this
don't
day and
think
age, that's a good question. So
that is
the reason
permitted
why,
anywhere.
yeah, the reason why I was talking to that other guy and I emphasized the type of financial obligation that marriage comes with, I think that obviously if a man is capable of providing for multiple women, right, he can take more than one wife. But the financial burden of taking one wife in and of itself is already extremely hefty. So the average man that lives in today's societies and so on and so forth is not going to be financially capable of having more than one spouse and providing for them, right? Obviously, it's permissible if they were, but the average person is not.
Even if you could afford, right?
Even
To
like,
be
for
one
example,
family, to be one
sorry.
family with kids, right?
Mhm.
No way is, and I get like women, I still believe obviously women are inherently, we're born to be mothers, but how you can't, whether financial or not, because you always go back to the financial part, right? You're never going to be fully involved in all of those wives and kids' lives. It's not possible. Even people who have one family. So even if you can have the financial side, why should you be able to take on another wife? Like, that's where I have a problem with it.
With the fact that he is able to take more than one?
Yeah, even if you can provide, there's no way you can. Like, if you look at like what we see with other, like, I grew up Mormon, right? So I consider the FLDS like a cult type because
Okay, we
they
can't say that word
segregated
on live.
themselves. Oh, okay. I
It's
didn't
okay,
know.
go ahead,
Sorry,
though. It's okay, go ahead.
but like you see, systematically, it's set up for the men. They don't leave because it's set up for them. Women are usually the ones who speak out, right? So either way, just going back to the family, I don't agree with it, even if he could provide, because there's no way you could give all those families and kids the love and support they need. Whether financial is one thing. I grew up with a rich mom, right? But she didn't love me. So that didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Like,
it's not, it's beyond the financial aspect. Obviously, you can't throw money at somebody and never be there with them, and that's sufficient in a marriage. Because in a marriage, all of the women also have the right to good treatment from the husband. He can't like leave for days on end and do absolute BS, but as long as the bills are paid, it's perfectly fine. No. He also needs to be present in their lives, be present in the kids' lives, and so on and so forth. That's also an obligation for him, Islamically. Yeah, so it's beyond just the financial aspect. The financial aspect is emphasized because the financial like when people say having multiple spouses, the reason why so part of the reason why it's first like limited to four, because when the Quran came to like Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the nation that he was living in, people were taking more than four spouses. They were taking 9, 10, 11, 12, all like crazy high numbers, right? And they weren't
did that
providing
also
for
have
them.
to do with like war though? I'm asking because
No,
for
they were doing it for
Mormons,
the
that
sake of
was
doing
what,
it. They were kind of like in that time, they were kind of just doing it for the sake of doing it, right?
because Mormons, they fall back on they were doing it because there was less men. That's what they fall back on it.
I
That's
mean,
what they say. That's
generally
why they don't do it
speaking,
anymore.
like, it usually tends to be the case that in societies there are more men than women, but that's not always going to be the case, right? We believe as Muslims that closer to the end times there are going to be more men than women, but as of right now, I think the ratio is quite equal. In fact, I think there's more men than women in this world, right? As of right now, at least, as of, like 2026. But
I
the
don't know.
point that,
I'm just saying.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I think I read that, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
irrespective of that, the point that's being made is the reason why the financial aspect is emphasized so heavily is because that's what that's what essentially makes it either permissible or impermissible to take more than one. Because when we have these people essentially having more than one spouse and leaving them on the streets and not providing for them, the way in which you can make sure situations that this doesn't happen like this in specific households is you make sure that if they are going to take more than one, they have to provide for them and give them everything that they deserve instead of oppressing them, right? So that's why there's such an emphasis on the financial aspect, but it's not limited to that. Because women also have the right in a marriage to good treatment, the same way that it goes both ways. The man has right to good treatment as well. That's kind of how a relationship goes. It's not the case that one spouse treats the other like crap and the other treats the spouse like a prince or a princess, right? It goes both ways. So, although the financial aspect is emphasized, the emotional presence aspect is essential. It's very much there, and it's very much a requirement. Cora, I thought there was going to be more than one, more women than men. Yeah, in the end times, there's going to be more women than men, but I'm pretty sure as of right now, there's more men in the world than women. Right now, at least.
Nah,
I think
and
I read that.
you were
But go ahead.
speaking my because I get what you're saying and it makes sense in a perfect world, but that's not how it is now. You know what I mean? Like if I look at my family, my aunt is the breadwinner. Her husband stays home and takes care of the kids. So should she be able to, because she's the breadwinner and she's assuming that role? And I mean, she still takes care of her kids. She comes home, she cooks. You know what I mean? After he gets done, would she be considered like the head? And I know that's not that
Not
wouldn't happen, so we
necessarily.
don't have to get into
Yeah,
that, right?
not
I'm just
necessarily,
saying,
because that like the head
yeah.
of the household aspect isn't just like you having the finances to give your kids things and so on and so forth, right? Because even though it's not required for the woman to provide, she is obviously capable of spending her own money on her kids or on herself or on her household or whatever it may be, even though it's not required for her. Some people want to do that, right? And it's not impermissible Islamically, but it goes beyond, like being the head of the household goes beyond, like for example, spending money, right? Because there's also the obligation to protect. There's also the obligation that if it's the case that there is any sort of a threat done to your family, the man is the one that takes initiative and protects the family, right? Because we believe that even biologically, men were created in the sense that they're stronger than women, right? Generally speaking, right? And they
No,
were
yeah.
put
My
in
husband
place.
protects me, but I have a gun.
Exactly.
Oh, I can't
Whoa,
say
okay,
that.
because
I
I
can't
don't
say
live
that,
either.
sorry.
Oh, shoot. Wait, okay, I'm gonna drop
I'm
you. Bring you
sorry.
back up. Okay, request back up. Oh, oh, my days. No, I dropped her because she said she had a, she said she had one of those. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. What the heck? Okay, I'm gonna bring her back up. Okay. All right, let's.
Sorry.
It's good. Don't worry. It's good. Don't worry. Yeah, like,
But
but
no,
the
like
point
I
is,
get,
you can obviously protect yourself. It's not an impossibility.
yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying what the purpose is. Obviously, there can be exceptions to which, a woman can protect herself and so on. But the point is the intent, or when men and women were created, they were created with roles, right? And the role of the men in this instance is to be the provider and the protector, right? So, regardless of whether or not he's doing it or not doing it, it doesn't change the fact that he was created for that purpose, or with that purpose at least, because obviously there's other purposes, but with that purpose, men were created to do those things, to protect women, to provide for women, and to be the heads of the household in the sense that they take initiative. When things go wrong, Islamically, the man is the one that takes initiative. If somebody comes and threatens the family, the man is the one that takes initiative, and so on and so forth.
Okay. I agree with the basis of it, right? And I agree with the basis of every religion. Everybody has a way of working in through, right? The only other question I have for you is when it comes to, you were talking about it a little bit, but you were talking about it in the sense of if the father passed away.
Oh yeah, what when we were talking about the
Happens
father
because,
passing away, that was with inheritance, right? So that's like less of like a marriage situation
yes, yeah. So
and more of
inheritance.
yeah. When for example the son and the daughter inherit, the son inherits more than the daughter, right? And the way that I explained it obviously is that because the
Yes. No,
daughter's
I get that part, but
finances.
I'm,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm cutting out. I'm sorry. I didn't want to
You're good.
interrupt you. I was here
You're
for
good.
when
Go.
you guys were talking about the inheritance part. I mean, I guess I can agree with the inheritance and the fact of but I don't still, because if my dad passed away tomorrow, I would expect to get equal either way, because who's to say the brother's not going to run off and not take care of the family? And then how is the daughter going to get helped out, right? But past the
Yeah,
inheritance,
but
I'm
like,
talking going back to
here's the thing
marriage.
though. But here's the thing though, with the
We
inheritance,
keep
let's say the
going back to,
brother.
everybody keeps bringing up.
Sorry, good.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I think my connection's bad. I'm here.
You're good.
I
It's
wasn't
okay.
talking. My
No, okay.
connection's bad.
All right, for sure. Like the way that it goes with the first off, Islam, it speaks of the ideal society and obviously the best case scenario or the way things should be. Obviously, there's always a possibility that somebody is going to go out and do something incorrectly, but that would be impermissible, right? Because the brother, the responsibility falls upon him. If he doesn't take on that responsibility from an Islamic lens, he is sinful. And if there are finances that need to be, like, if the girl or the daughter needs to fall back on some sort of finances, then she still has the inheritance that her father gave her. The mother has the inheritance that was from the father. Like, for example, we can have like the cousins or the uncles or whatever it may be that also have money and so on and so forth. But the point that's being made here is that ideally, or the way Islam wants it to take place, is that the brother is the one who takes initiative, right? And if he doesn't do that, then the woman obviously has the finances that she was given when her father passed away, and she can fall back on that.
I get you. I just don't like the fact that it's not equal. I that's all I'm saying. But I'm not trying to talk on the inheritance part.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk on marriage. So when you're married, right? And women, from what I've read, it's like they get like nothing. And then not only that, it comes down to the children. Something about they don't have like rights to their children. Is that right?
No.
Am I reading
Women,
that wrong?
no. Women do have rights to their children. In what situation are you speaking about though? Like
Like in a
tell me what scenario.
divorce.
Oh, in a divorce, like who the child stays with, Islamically?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
this is a nuance. So after the child passes puberty, or after the child becomes an adult, they get the right to choose Islamically.
So who are they with until they get to choose?
Who are they with until they get to choose? If it's a newborn or up until toddler age, they by necessity have to stay with the mother, right? Obviously, because the mother is the one that needs to take care of them, whether it be breastfeeding, whether it be all these other things and so on and so forth. Now, up until like from toddler age all the way to like pubescence and so on, that there's disagreement amongst the scholars, right? Some say that they go to the father, some say that they go to the mother, but it's clearly defined that after they become pubescent, they get the ability to choose Islamically. So pubescence would happen around like between the ages of like let's say 8 to 13. Once they reach those ages, they get the right to pick.
Okay, I see a problem with that, because before it's the woman's duty to take care of a job, right? I mean, to take care of a child, right? But then now if they get divorced, now you're saying it's almost like the child's property, right? Because they're prepubescent, they stay with the dad. But aren't you, in Islam, it's written out something about prepubescent can be married, right? Whether that was back in the day or not. Does that go back to that? That's what my mind jumps to, right?
No. It doesn't go back to that.
About
no.
marrying them off. Okay. So
No, it doesn't go back to that.
So technically, if they get a divorce, they don't have rights to their kids based on
No,
their age
they
in
do have the
Islam.
rights. Wait, no, they do have the rights to obviously see their kids and to be with their kids and so on and so forth. When we say rights, we're talking to who the child stays with, like who the child
Yes.
lives with. But obviously, the woman or the mother has the right to be with her child and see her child the same way that when the child is really young, although the child is primarily with the mother, the father also has the right to come and be with the child and see the child. But this is specifically talking about which house they live in.
Okay. And then when it comes to divorce, I keep hearing, I don't know about the verse, or I don't know what it's called. Sorry if that's disrespectful, but the verse
It's okay.
that is relating back to striking your wife with like a toothbrush or something.
The
like,
handkerchief thing that I was talking about previously, yeah.
The steps, right? The steps, right? But why should one of the steps be to strike, whether that's going to hurt or not, right? But we don't have to get on that. I get what you're saying. Like that's how they lay it out. That's what they believe
if
is
you
the
like,
steps.
we can break it down more if there's like, something
you
that
broke
you
it
can
down earlier. Like I get it, but for a woman, so like that's what it lays out for a man. What is a woman's way to get out of a divorce?
Oh, to get out of a divorce? You mean like in
Like
a
that's,
situation in
I
which
mean,
she's
I'm
being
sorry,
oppressed?
out of a marriage. I'm
Oh,
sorry. So
yeah.
you
So
say that
for a
that is
woman,
leading up to ending the marriage, right?
yes,
So
yes. So for the
how does a
woman,
woman go about ending marriage?
that's a good question. So for the woman, so let's say, for example, the husband is forsaking her rights. He's not providing for her. He's not protecting her. He's not giving her intimacy and all of these different things. She can get the marriage annulled, right? It can be immediate. It can be like this. What happens Islamically is the last step for the man is to go to a mediator, right? Sorry, not the last step, but the step after the third step when it comes to the divorce is prior to that they speak to a mediator, right? So they try to mediate and essentially they talk it out. They say, okay, well, you're not doing this in the marriage, and obviously I expect this in a relationship. You're not meeting me halfway. I'm doing everything I can, but you're not meeting me halfway. And obviously they try to work it out. If they can't work it out, that can result in divorce. Now, from the woman's perspective, how this works is the woman can literally go to a qadi or a sheikh or a judge. She tells him the situation, and the qadi obviously overlooks the situation. He sees that she is not getting her rights. She's not being provided for. She's not being protected. And it can go one of two ways. He can either A, annul the marriage on the spot, or B, force the husband to fulfill the rights. And if he continues not to, then the marriage is annulled. So it's quicker for the women.
Okay, but as long as the person accepts it.
No,
I'm
the
sorry.
qadi or the husband? No, the
Yeah,
husband doesn't have to
the
consent. The
the
qadi, it's
quadi. I'm
required. Yeah,
sorry.
the qadi, it's required for him to accept. If it's the case that she's being oppressed and her rights are not being fulfilled, it's required for him to accept. Because the verse in Surah An-Nisa, verse 34, the verse that outlines that steps, at the beginning of the verse, it says that the reason why men have these rights in marriage is because they provide their aspect of the rights. And if they don't do that, then they don't have their rights either. They don't have the right to, for example, intimacy, they don't have the right to obedience, and so on. Because at the end of the day, it would be unjust to say that this man is oppressing you and you still Islamically have to do all of these things for him, and if you don't, you're sinful. Oh, fix your audio? Wait, is it bad? Ooh. Uh, that's not good. Make it
I can hear you.
louder. Oh, it's incredibly low. Bruh. Okay. Ooh. Okay, it should be a little bit better. But yeah, in a situation like that, if the woman is being oppressed and so on and so forth, it's literally required for the qadi to accept it, the annulment. And once that happens, the
Okay.
husband doesn't need to consent. Right? It has nothing to do with the husband's consent because it's beyond that point. They tried to work it out. He continued and persisted, and khalas, the marriage is done.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And then my last question, because I know there's other people waiting. This is what really made me like detest the Mormon faith. It's basically if you get all the way, they believe there's 3 levels to heaven, like 3 different kingdoms, and basically the top level is the only level where you'll see the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, and like everybody will be there. If you got married in their temple, your husband will be there, but like it's some weird stuff. Your husband has to call you by your temple name when you get up there. And say you're a woman and you were never married, but you did everything right in the Mormon faith. You can never make it to the highest level of what they consider heaven. Is there anything written in Islam about that? About
No, no, it
women
has
not
nothing
being
to do with that.
able?
So,
Okay.
no, 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 we don't have that. So
I'm
let's
sorry.
say
That
for
was
a
just an off topic question.
no, of course, of course. So in Islam, what we believe is we do believe that everybody's gonna have a partner in heaven, right? But we don't believe that if you don't have a worldly partner, that you are gonna be like at a lower point in heaven or whatever it may be. We believe that if you enter heaven and you haven't gotten married in this world, you're going to get a spouse that is ideal for you and you're gonna be pleased with, right?
Mhm.
Even if you weren't married in this world, you're gonna have a partner. You're gonna have what is the word? Companion with you in heaven, and they are going to be your ideal companion. You're gonna be pleased with them, right? Whether it be looks wise, whether it be personality wise, whether it be interest wise, and so on and so forth. This is gonna be your ideal human being that's gonna be with you in heaven. Even if you weren't married in this world, and not being married in this world doesn't mean that you're not gonna reach the highest level of heaven or whatever it may be. That's not what that means. right? As long
Okay.
as Islamically, as long as you are a Muslim and an upright Muslim, and obviously by the mercy of God, you will enter heaven, even if you didn't get married in this world, even if you didn't have kids, and so on and so forth. That the doors of heaven are still open for you.
Okay. So yeah, that's just something crazy. They don't tell you about that until you get like deep into the Mormon church, but that's what they believe. So
That's
I just
crazy.
wanted to ask that. And then the only other thing that I think is crazy about what they write about up there is the 72 virgin wives
Oh
that,
yeah,
or
wait, well,
75.
that whole
But
thing,
you
the
talked about that
72 thing.
yesterday.
Oh,
I
you were
just
here
think it's
yesterday?
because, yeah, I was waiting like 2 hours to get in. I never got in, but it's
Oh
okay.
shoot,
No
I'm
worries.
sorry. Hey, I mean you're here
But
now though.
I get like a man can desire that, but like why specifically? It's funny to me why it's written.
Oh,
I
like
get why it's
70. Oh,
written,
like
and it's
72
just
specifically. Well, we don't believe that like that narration that hadith is
yeah,
authentic.
yeah,
Like the whole
yeah,
72,
yeah.
the whole 72 number. We that there's obviously like our scholars, specifically I believe it's Al-Albani, the most recent of them that criticizes it. He says the hadith is inauthentic, right? So
So
that
your
specific
scholars
number.
study the
Yeah,
Quran, and then there's certain hadiths that you don't recognize, and hadiths are stories from prophets. Is that right?
not so hadith, when we say hadith, what hadith is something that is specifically attributed to Muhammad, peace be upon him, so specifically the prophet Muhammad, right? So it's a saying of his, or the relayment of a teaching of his, or whatever it may be, right? So we believe that that specific hadith, the 72 number, it doesn't authentically go back to Muhammad, peace be upon him, not authentically at least, because one thing that we emphasize in Islam is preservation of authentic tradition, right? And we make
Mm-hmm.
sure that there's like no room for error. We don't let this idea that people can kind of just say whatever about the religion and whatever they say goes. We don't believe that about Islam. We criticize our tradition, and when I say criticize, sorry, not criticize, scrutinize the chains of narration of the hadith to make sure that we are only accepting the most authentic of narrations, just so we don't fall into mistakes such as, literally accepting anything and everything that people say about the religion and then, taking it as authoritative.
Yeah, and that's where it becomes so confusing because I've tried to look into Islam before, and I get like the basis of it. It's you do what you can, and you can't worry about like essentially like what other people do. But it's so confusing to try because I've studied tons of religions, and Islam is one I really want to like get into. It's just so confusing because it's like, well, what is actually believed and what is
That's
not, and
okay. So
everybody
how
is
about you
so
start with
up
this?
in
How about
arms
you
on what
start with
is.
so how about you start with the one thing in which there's no dispute about in terms of like its authenticity and whatnot, which is the Quran. Why don't you just try reading the Quran in English on its own, right? Focus on the foundation, right? Because the Quran is the foundation of Islam, right? And there's no dispute on the authenticity of the Quran. So that's where you should start. You get what I mean? Like this
Yeah, and you
whole
guys are the most
hadith thing.
unchanged.
Sorry, go ahead.
The Quran's the most unchanged
In
literature we
terms of
have
the books,
religially, right?
yes. In terms of
Yeah.
religion, yes. It's the
So that's
literature that has not
that's
been
cool.
tampered by the hands of man.
Yeah, which we know like Christianity, the Book of
Yeah.
Mary, all that was taken out, a bunch of other stuff. So, but
Yeah, there's a
okay.
lot of
I mean,
crazy
thank
stuff.
you.
All right, for sure. All right, have a good day, okay?
You too.
All right, peace out. I have a headache. May Allah guide her. Allahumma ameen. She was sweet. She was very respectful. All right. I'ma do. I don't know how many more people. Yeah, hello?
Hello. Hi. Hello, do you
Hi.
hear me?
Indeed, I do. Hi, are you over the age of 18, by the way?
Yes, of course. I'm 18.
All
Yeah.
right, for sure. How can I help you?
Okay. So you say Islam treats women best. Okay. So my main contention against that would be the concubinage. The slave women. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so on starts with do you have like markets of women that you can sell and buy women?
Where?
Well, I don't know where, but
No, I mean, you're
um
asking, do you have, like, where? What are you talking about?
oh yeah, like in Islam.
In Islam, nothing in Islam says that we should or that we do. Nothing in Islam indicates that.
Yeah, but is it allowed?
Is there any evidence that it would be allowed? I've never seen anything within the Quran or the Sunnah that indicates that it'd be allowed.
Well, it's
Like
mostly in the
markets of
athar.
women and whatnot. The athar?
Well,
Okay, where?
yeah.
That says it's permissible?
Well, what I've seen is that also scholars say that it's permissible, but the athar is like sahih,
Okay, the
which
athar
is
attributed to who?
to Ibn Umar. That's what I
Okay, and Ibn Umar says it's permissible?
He doesn't say it's permissible. He there's narrations like about him going to markets, and he's like you know
Wait, so narrations about in the time of Ibn Umar, these things existing, that means that Islam says it's permissible?
no, like the scholars say it, but like I seen it like in the the website like Maktaba Shamila.
Yes, Maktabat al-Shamila, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like they would say, like I don't know. It was like I can pull it up, but I have to get off the app. Like they were saying, "قال مشايخنا," I was something along those lines.
Okay,
That
and who are you referring to? What scholar?
no, I don't know. I just like I don't know if it's Maliki or Shafi'i. But like they say, but either one. Like even if one scholar, I mean, if one school permits this, like I don't know
One
how
school or one scholar?
one school, even if one school, if
But
like
can
if
you name
one,
the school that permits it though? That's the question.
yeah. Let me put if you allow me like to pull it up like
Do you have like camera privileges or whatever maybe?
what is it?
Camera privileges. If you want to like pull something up and show it, or if you just want to like tell me the
Oh
name of the
yeah.
scholar.
No, I just have the website like on my notes,
Okay,
on
sure.
my iPhone notes, like
Yeah, I got you.
okay. Okay, so 1 second.
All right, for sure.
Okay, but you seriously don't think this is allowed?
No, I'm asking you, can you prove it is? That's
Oh,
the
okay.
argument. The argument is if you
Well,
can prove that Islam, and when we say Islam, obviously, Quran, Sunnah, Salaf. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, right. Let me well, I can pull the athar first if you want to see for yourself. Like
Yeah, but you said that
isn't
the
he
athar, doesn't say, like, it doesn't indicate, Islam saying permissibility or anything. You just said that Ibn
No.
Umar is talking about something that was in his time, right?
No, like I read, but isn't like the three first generations still like a hujjah or no?
A hujjah, wait, that when they agree, when the three first generations have an ijma', that's what's hujjah.
Okay, that's fair enough. But wait, now that I'm talking, wait, I'm sorry. No,
Okay, good.
okay, I appreciate your time with me because I've never like brought this issue up like with any,
Oh,
I guess
okay.
you're Salafi, right?
Yes, I'm Salafi.
Yeah, so I'm glad you're knowledgeable. Let me,
What was
I
that
mean,
all, or do you wanna bring
no,
the
let
source or
me,
anything?
yeah, let me go off the app real quick. 1 second.
Okay, I got you. What's she trying to pull up? She said a quote from one of the madahib. About
I'm sorry, can you hear me? Like, can you
yes,
hear
I
me
can.
off the app?
No, I
Okay.
can't hear you off the app, but I can hear you when you
Oh,
come
my
back.
bad. Oh, my bad. Okay, let me.
Are you a proud Hanafi? That's how your question's up, bro. Y'all just be saying anything, I swear. What the heck? What the heck am I looking at, bro? Yo. What in the world? Yo, I have never seen a Dajjal looks-maxing edit in my life. What is going on? What the heck is going on? Yo. What? I'm so confused. Okay, wait, where did she go? Maybe she was outside of that for too long. Wait, hold on. She's probably gonna come back. If you're still in here, request again real quick. Does Salafiyya allow? Yes, it does. Yaha?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I think I can't find it. Oh my god. Like, can
It's
I
it's
still,
okay.
like?
If you want, you could come back. If you want,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
I
go
know.
live every day. I go live
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
Okay. That point aside, though, right?
Okay.
That point is like I can come back another time, right? Like with the
With
sources.
the source, yeah, I go
Yeah,
live
yeah.
literally every day, so you
Okay,
can come
okay.
back whenever you
Because
find it.
like you have another prompt which is like prove Islam is wrong, and like
Yes.
like I don't really care about that one. Like I care about morality mainly. So like
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so that point aside. Okay. But can you still like answer the question though? Like how
With
l-
the concubine question,
yeah, like do you believe this is allowed in Islam? Having
concubinage, like having. Oh, wait, hold on. There's nothing. The reason why I asked you for the quote is because I'm not gonna make the claim that something is permissible unless there's an evidence to say that it's permissible, right? So, in
No,
terms
because
of
when people
the
ask you,
markets
I'm
thing.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Like when people ask you like questions, you either, like you say either if it's allowed or not. Like now I am asking you since you're
Yeah, but
Muslim.
here's the thing. But here's the thing. There's no evidence to indicate that it's allowed. That's the point that I'm making. The point is, I can't say that something is allowed unless there's an evidence to prove that it's allowed. You get what I mean?
So you believe there's no evidence for as of now. You believe there's no evidence.
There's no evidence
of
to prove that. No, as of
there's no
now.
evidence, like none.
No, there's
No one.
until you bring me the madahib saying, hadashi yajuz or whatever it may be. There's obviously nothing that I can say pertaining to it being permissible or impermissible or whatever it may be. But to go like
Okay,
to
got
the
it.
root of it, which was like the concubinage thing, because that's the first thing that you brought up, and then you brought up the markets thing. But back to the concubinage thing, you believe that that's immoral, correct?
Yeah, like having sex slaves, yeah. Like
And do
I'm
you
sorry,
believe
like
that? And do you believe
yeah.
not just concubines, but even just having servants or whatever it may be generally? You believe that that's immoral as well?
If it's restricting someone's freedom, someone's like you can, like for example in Islam you can like gift slaves, like gift women to one another, right? You can do that, right?
Like gift like servants or whatever it may be, whether they be men or women, yes. Irrespective of their
so
gender. The point that I'm making though is that there's no restriction on the gender. It's not you can only
no, I
gift
know.
women or whatever it may be. It's general. And obviously there's what is it called? In terms of these people, like let me ask you, have you done research on what Islam says pertaining to how you treat these individuals that we call slaves or servants or whatever it may
Yeah,
be?
like I'm aware you should, like clothe them, feed them, not overburden them with work,
And
but
not harm them or anything like that, right?
well, the harm part is very when it comes to women, like I don't believe there's like zero harm though. Like
Wait,
when
but
it
Islam
comes.
says that there can't be harm. Oh. Where the heck did she go? Am I tripping? Maybe she accidentally dropped. Hold on. Yeah, I think she accidentally dropped.
I don't know why it's kicking me off.
It's good. It's good.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I'm
So
sorry.
Islam says
Okay.
that harm is not allowed, right? That's what Islam says. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he makes a claim about people generally speaking. He says, "Do not cause harm nor reciprocate harm." And he doesn't restrict it in any way, shape, and or form. That's what the fuqaha use, right? They use that as an evidence to prove that from an Islamic standpoint, you're not allowed to inflict harm on people.
Okay. Yeah. No. Because if you allow me to tell my logic, why I believe you can. Because I don't know if you're familiar with the contention, like that you can you know, grape those female slaves.
Yeah, I've studied that argument. Yeah, I've studied that argument, and I've
Okay.
refuted it
Sure.
in depth. To be honest with you, I've refuted it in depth. The scholars refute it
Oh.
actually.
Okay.
Ibn al-Qayyim refutes it. Ibn al-Qayyim literally, what is it called? I'm trying to remember what he brings. Yeah, he brings
Yeah.
he mentions a story of in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a man that was given the had for forcing himself on his slave.
Yeah, but I don't believe that one was his master. His
No,
master.
it
Her
was.
master.
She
It
belonged
was.
to him. Yes, that's what Ibn
Wait.
al-Qayyim brings. Ibn al-Qayyim brings that, and he also says that generally speaking, he says that forced intimacy generally is not allowed,
Okay. Can you?
and
Do you
there's no
have the
restriction
reference
on
right
that.
now? Do you have the
Yeah.
reference right now where it says that it's literally her master
Oh wait,
forcing
yeah. Wait,
his
hold on.
own?
Yeah, I'll bring
Okay.
that. Yes, I can.
Okay. Because I was under the impression that it was another
No, it's not. There
man.
are instances. There are instances in the Hadith that mention a man like being punished for being intimate with a woman that obviously he doesn't have the right to be intimate with. But what Ibn al-Qayyim mentions is he uses that as an evidence to say that the issue is the forced intimacy itself. Ibn al-Qayyim has a problem with it generally. Where's this?
Yeah, I just want to see that it says if he specifies that it's her own master, then sure.
All right, perfect.
But so far I haven't found like evidence of this. Like for me, like I can find even though like Islam says one thing, when I'm like having, you know, when I'm having my thoughts, when I'm like when I'm arriving at conclusions myself, I can find those
Those like
for example,
references or those like, for
to be
example,
not
evidences.
convincing.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
like to
don't
be
find them
not
to be convincing, but I'll give an example, right?
like their
Ibn
arguments, their
al-Qayyim,
reasoning is not convincing to me at all. You know what I mean?
in terms of the arguments for Islam, or in terms of like the refutations for these types of claims, like
Yeah,
specifically the moral aspects.
Yeah, the refutation, like I'm still not convinced. I'm speaking like from the bottom of my heart, right? Like it just doesn't make sense to me that that you could personally speaking, this is my own conclusion that I found. And you know, like I was Muslim once, right? Like I was trying to make sense of all of this, like of course, because of course no Muslim would like reject their own religion so quickly, you know what I mean? Like it's a process, right? Like I'm just absorbing all of these information at once. I want to stay in this religion. I want to, you know, like I watched literally thousands of videos in Arabic or English, yeah, just to have, you know, refutations when it comes to that point, right? But personally speaking, I'm just not buying it.
Okay, in terms of this specific argument.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, specifically this argument in terms of you being able to force like your concubine to be intimate with you.
Right.
Okay, yeah, then I have like a really, really explicit. Okay, you know Ash-Shafi'i, right? Al-Imam Ash-Shafi'i. So Al-Imam Ash-Shafi'i, he makes a very similar claim to Ibn al-Qayyim. Obviously, Ibn al-Qayyim way after Ash-Shafi'i, significantly after. Now, Imam Ash-Shafi'i, what he says is he speaks about the rights to intimacy and how intimacy should take place. And Imam Ash-Shafi'i, he says verbatim, nobody can be forced into the acts of intimacy. He says nobody. He makes an absolute claim, right? Is that explicit enough for you? Even though he's not speaking specifically about slaves, and he's not speaking specifically about between wife and husband either. He says just straight up an absolute claim, nobody can be forced into intimacy at all.
Yeah.
Would that be
Well,
explicit enough?
for me, like it goes with I'm going with the assumption that he is speaking about free Muslim people, because of course, like you can, when he says like everybody, like of course you can even have you know, sexual intercourse with like
Yeah, no, but hold on.
agnostics
But when
or
he says no, but wait,
yeah.
hold on. But when he says nobody, that's absolute. That's not speaking nobody in terms of the free Muslims. He's not saying nobody in terms of just the men or just the women. He's making an absolute claim. He's saying nobody full stop. Nobody can be forced into the action. It's general. It's not speaking
Okay,
relative to a specific group.
right. Well, my reasoning, if you care to hear my reasoning, which is that specific phrase, I find it hard to reconcile when, Allah in the Quran just gives, plain allowance to having intercourse with these slave women who just lost their
Plain
husbands, who
allowance,
just
okay.
lost their brothers. Yeah,
Yeah, but hold on, but
like
Allah
who just
also gives plain allowance to be intimate to your wife or with your wife. That doesn't mean that you're allowed to force yourself on your wife either, because Allah says in the Quran, He gives plain allowance to be intimate with your wife.
No, this wife, you took her honorably from her parents' home. You took her, but when it's the case for a female slave, like, and you're a girl, right? Like, I want you, like, to imagine, like, losing your father, losing your brother, losing your male relatives, and you wanna come to me and tell me that you had consensual,
Yes, it's possible. It's very possible.
consensual.
Yeah, there's no P and not P in that. That is something that can take place because nothing indicates that it's forceful, right? Nothing indicates that. If we
Well,
have the quotes
so
of the scholars that talk about forced intimacy not being allowed full stop, Ash-Shafi'i only being one example, of course. Ash-Shafi'i only being one example, Ash-Shafi'i isn't speaking just about wives. Ash-Shafi'i isn't speaking just about, nobody relative to this specific group. He's making an absolute, a universal claim. He's saying universally, nobody can be forced into this act. In terms of you, like, physically forcing yourself on this person, no, it's not allowed, Islamically. That's why I'm saying, like, even though
right,
the
but
point that you brought up is when the Quran, it gives plain allowance to be able to be intimate with your concubine, that doesn't mean that it's plain allowance with no restrictions. Because the Quran also gives plain allowance to be intimate with your wife, right? Regardless of the way in which you came about your wife, regardless of the way in which it came about, it's talking about the act of intimacy and how it should take place and the permissibility of it, right? So both of them are unrestricted statements. But that doesn't indicate that there's no restrictions at all, because we can derive these restrictions explicitly from the Sunnah, right? And we can also, because you mentioned the madhahib, you mentioned previously you said, I think, the Shafi'i and the Maliki madhab. Ash-Shafi'i is only one example, obviously. Abu Hanifa, the madhab of Abu Hanifa also says similar. The madhab of Abu Hanifa says explicitly that if a man forces himself on his woman, right, or on his wife or whatever it may be, then he is liable for blood money, right? And he is liable, there is a major sin in that, right? And blood money isn't restricted just to the Muslim or the free individual. No, because the scholars also talk about blood money taking place in terms of if you harm somebody that is not free. You don't get to harm somebody that is not free and just get off scratch free or whatever it may be. No, Islamically that's not how that works as well. So that's the Shafi'i madhab, and that's also the Hanafi madhab.
okay, well, I don't see like the benefits for why would Allah like allow marriage outside of sexual intercourse outside of marriage just because she's a concubine, unless she is like a booty spoil, unless she is something, she is like just like money, just like the like the enemy's property to be taken advantage of, you know what I mean?
No, but here's the thing, that there's you making statements such as, like, I don't see the benefit and so on and so forth.
Yeah, like
You
why would zina just be allowed just like that if it's like just out of nowhere, like just having, because I don't see the difference between that and having let's
Like,
go
but
like
here's the thing though, but here's the thing, concubinage, if you're also familiar with the rights of the concubine specifically, the rights of the concubine closely resemble the rights of the wife. The distinction being inheritance. And the right to inheritance is granted to her if she becomes, like, for example, walad, if she has a child, right? The child is identical to if the man had a child with the wife, and the woman is automatically free and she could marry the man if she pleases, right? So the rights of the concubine are nearly identical to the rights of the wife. It's not essentially this man can use and abuse this woman and have no commitments and so on and so forth. No. That's not how that works, because he treats this woman as if he's her husband and she's his wife. With the only distinction being, if he dies, the inheritance obviously isn't a factor unless obviously they're married. And that comes with having kids and so on and so forth. So it's not just
okay.
something that comes out of nowhere and this use and abuse mindset that you can do to women. No. Obviously they have rights, because we were previously talking about women, what were you saying? Oh yeah, you said, restricting somebody and oppression and so on and so forth. Obviously, it's not the case that these women are essentially play toys that you can do absolutely anything to and harm and, have no commitments to, not protect, not provide, overburden, all of these different things. No, Islam says no, that's not how that works. That might have been how it worked prior to Islam coming, or in other civilizations, but that's not what Islam teaches.
Well, like, can't you? I mean, okay, I get the part that you can have. I mean, you have to treat them, the same as a wife, right? But like, why is this only allowed in the context of war? Why is this only allowed like when I am going to people's homes? Like, I'm sorry, like when there's a fight, and then I should first unalive her husband, or
No, wait,
I
it's not
mean,
an obligation.
father.
Wait, hold on. The
No,
intention
I know
isn't
it's
for you
not
to
an
go in
obligation.
and, unalive these people or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
But
I
that's the
know.
only context in which this type of a thing can happen. That's the only context in which it can happen, because you can't just go into a random town with no war and take a woman of your choice, bring her to your home, and do whatever you want. No. The only context in which you can have a concubine, or a servant for that matter, is in the context of war, to which these individuals are left without a civilization to go back to, and they are brought into the Islamic society and essentially integrated into the society, and they have the capabilities of being free if it's the case that that's what they desire, and they are granted rights within society and so on and so forth, and they're not essentially left out to die with no civilization to go back to and so on. Because that's what the alternative would have been. In the context of war, if two nations are fighting and the Islamic nation prevails, and obviously you're not allowed to, harm or unalive women and children purposefully at all, you're not allowed to go in and unalive literally everybody, including women and children. You only unalive the combatants. So let's say you get rid of all of the men, and all of these women and children don't have homes anymore, and so on and so forth. Or even like, not all of the men, but the men that are combatants. And then there are people that are left there with no civilization to go back to and left with nothing. The alternative is you leave them there to starve and die, or to be taken advantage of by non-Muslims that aren't going to have the same morals as the Muslims.
Okay, if you allow me to finish, I'm sorry. No, I am familiar. I am familiar. Like, I don't want to be condescending, but I am familiar, like, with the scripts, like a lot. Like, I know this, right? But okay. No, my question was, why is it allowed in this specific context, right? Like, we first have to do jihad. We first have to do all
Whoa,
that
wait,
stuff.
we can't say that word on live. We can't say that word on live.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're
Really?
good.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like, we have to first do this thing, and then we can take these women. But why is this allowance outside of marriage? Why is it specifically in that context? And why can't we do the same? Why can't that man do the same with, let's say, another woman that he doesn't marry, he just found her, and they click, right? They click, right? And he takes care of her. He has like the same rights as a slave woman, right? Like, she
Okay.
has the same rights, like, to be treated correctly, to be treated with care, to be treated like all these rights that a slave woman has, right? Why I'm sorry if there's a language barrier, but why is it specifically in that context when I am going to war, when I am going, then I can have intercourse outside of marriage? Why is
But
this
here's the thing:
why is this
intercourse
scenario
outside of
better than
marriage. Wait,
yeah?
because in Islam, a marriage contract, you can't have a marriage contract with a woman that is not free, because the woman that is not free doesn't have a wali, right? She doesn't have somebody to give her off in marriage, right? Like
No, let's say
in this
like
context, the woman, she literally has nobody to give her off in it wouldn't fulfill the requirements to be an Islamic marriage. But there is still a sort of contract between a master and a slave Islamically. But the point is, it's not a traditional marriage because it doesn't meet the stipulations for a traditional marriage Islamically. It can't, by definition.
okay, but when you go to the enemy's territory and when you have a fight, like can't you do this without a fight? Can't a Muslim man just go to like a Christian woman and then he has Islamically he is obligated to treat her with care and they
Yeah,
just
but he
have
can marry that
consent
Christian
like
woman. Yeah, he can marry that
e-
Christian woman though.
okay, let's say atheist. Okay, let's say atheist. Like why can't they why does specifically the war, why specifically this bloody war first and then I can have sexual intercourse with you
Yeah,
if she's
by
not
the
a
way,
booty
we can't
spoil.
take wait, hold on. We can't take like what is it called, atheists and so on and so forth, and bring them and like what is it called? Like they can't be that. You can't take an
Well,
atheist and you can't take an
I'm giving you
agnostic or like a mulhid or anything. It has to be like let's say Ahl al-Kitab, right? Or whatever it may be. Like these people. But the point that's being made
I'm giving an
is that
hypothetical
I know.
scenario.
Yeah, but the
I'm
thing
giving
is
you
that
why couldn't
hold on.
Islam do this?
But the thing is that
Why
the
does it have
hypothetical
to be
doesn't.
involved with blood? Why?
Yeah, because there's no context. Like, listen. Imagine this. You go into a nation and without some sort of stipulation prior, there's no reason as to why you take this woman. You just take this woman out of her home and bring her to your nation, right? That there's no prior stipulations for that taking place. That's the thing. The reason why you're allowed to have like a servant or a slave and so on, it's in the context of war because these individuals are going to be integrated into your society. You can't just go into a random society and grab whoever you want, and if you like them and they like you, you can just bring them home and do whatever you want. The point is, when you say outside of marriage, within Islam, what we consider to be zina, it's not intimacy outside of marriage, it's intimacy outside of what is legal Islamically. And between a servant and a master, there's also some sort of a contract. It's just not going to be identical to a marriage contract because there are specific stipulations that need to be met Islamically. And like for example, with some sort like a random woman in a nation that is atheist or agnostic or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever other religion
Yeah.
apart from obviously Ahl al-Kitab, those stipulations aren't going to be met. The reason why it's bloody war and so on and so forth is because
Yeah.
the reason why you're bringing them into your society and you're allowed to bring them into your society is because they have nowhere else to go, right? Why would you grab somebody out of a society that's perfectly fine and thriving and bring them to yours if their society is perfectly fine and there's no conflict and there's no war? The context wouldn't make sense in that situation.
Okay, but when you care for someone, when you want to clothe them, when you want to feed them, when you want to not overburden them with work, when I think about caring for someone, I don't think about having sexual intercourse with them, unless if that woman treated as an object supposed to be taken advantage of. Like I don't see
Wait,
the
you
logic
think
here.
intimacy? Wait, you think intimate, like being, like wanting to be intimate with somebody implies that? Why
Well,
would that imply that
no.
though?
I said when I think about caring for someone who is in need, someone who is like why is like I'm sorry, why is sex even a part of the equation? Why is this even a thing? Like
Because
why?
obviously
When I
there's
think
some sort of, but hold on, like the intimacy
yeah,
portion, like first off, intimacy, it's a two-way street, right? If two people like each other, they're intimate, right? That's what happens. And from an Islamic standpoint, that's even a right that's given as well. Like intimacy, it's not just the man is fulfilled and he likes it and blah blah blah, all of this stuff, and the woman can essentially be left high and dry and use. That's not what Islam says either. Within Islam, intimacy it has to please both of the people involved, right? So it's not just the man is the only one thinking about intimacy. That's why we're emphasizing the man can't force her. And it's not just about like force in the physical sense, but obviously, like from this perspective, the man obviously has some sort of attraction and wants to be intimate, and the woman does too. It's a two-way street. That's the point that's being made. It's not just the man desires it and he goes for it even though she doesn't want it or she's not attracted or whatever. No, it's the both of them.
I seriously don't get like with all my due respect, I don't see how, because you have the hadith also of Autas, the women of Autas. So you know, like the tribe of Autas, like
Yeah, sure.
why like why 424 was revealed, right? You can have, right? So you're saying that all these women who just lost their male relatives, like these women in plural, like I can accept one exceptional woman who is out of her mind. She is maybe like promiscuous. She has maybe like mental issues. She wanna have intercourse with the one who just literally unalived her entire male relatives, right? But when you're telling me like women in plural, this is very unlikely. Like the probability that me personally, if I was captured, if I was captured, if these men, these Muslim men, they have the right to have intercourse with me, I don't have, like, how is this even imaginable?
But they have the right to be intimate with you if it's the case that you also want to be intimate with them. That's the point that's being made here. It's not this situation where it's essentially the men have the right and the women can't say anything about it. And you saying like a woman would have to be out of her mind to accept this, I don't see why that would be the case. What's the argument for that?
So all these women, they lost their father, they lost the ones that they with in the war. Can you please tell me how is this acceptable? How is this even? How can you have
acceptable?
How can you tell me that this woman who generally just lost her male relatives, she is consenting of having intercourse with the one who just unalived?
Why couldn't wait? Hold on. Why can't she consent? If she wants to, why can't she?
She can, like maybe one or two. No, you can't tell me like all of Muhammad's friends.
Who said all of them? Wait, hold on. Who said all of them? Who said all? Like nobody is making a claim of all of women.
Multiple men, though.
Yeah, sure, multiple. And what does multiple imply? Multiple doesn't imply all of them. It doesn't even imply most of them. Right? It just implies more than one, probably more than two, probably more than three. But the point is, what makes you think that they would be completely just opposed to consenting to that? What makes you think, apart from your own personal feelings, right? Or your own personal experience, what's the argument to the fact that they would be incapable of wanting that or consenting to that and so on and so forth?
It's just improbable.
What makes it improbable outside of obviously your own personal testimony, and maybe a couple friends who have never been put in this situation and would say, no, I would never allow that. What compels you to think that it's improbable?
It's improbable because I know no one likes the one who just unalived their family members.
Their family members that tried to unalive the Muslims and so on and so forth. But you saying, I know that nobody would like that's not an argument, though. That's just you making an assertion from like your own personal feelings or your own opinion or whatever that may be. But that isn't substantial. That's not substantial.
This is why it's not convincing, though.
Wait, hold on. But the point is the argument that you're making. Hold on,
when I'm talking like.
It's okay. The reason why it's not convincing is because from your standpoint, the argument is merely I feel as if nobody would consent to this. I feel as if it's improbable and so on and so forth, but there's no necessarily substantial evidence. It's the reason why it's unconvincing to you is because nobody can convince you out of what you feel, because there's nothing to disprove. And regardless of any evidence that I bring you, if you personally feel a type of way, I'm not going to be able to stop you, because I'm not arguing with evidences, I'm arguing with your own personal feelings.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But like,
So
I'll
yeah,
go like with it like this though.
okay.
You
Did you?
said you're an
I'm sorry.
ex-Muslim, right? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say like one last point. Like, this is like, with all due respect, I don't want to like make you feel like you have wasted your time like talking to me, but just I don't want to be condescending, but I see this like just as gaslighting when you go into these mental gymnastics, when you go into, oh, we have no substantial evidence for except for your feelings. Like, I see this just as arbitrary. You wouldn't say this when it comes, like, you wouldn't say the same if it was another, if it was like, let's say, another situation when we know like probably no one would want to have intercourse with the one who just unalived their family members.
Well, wait, I have a question. What do you mean by arbitrary? What does arbitrary mean in this context?
Like, for example, you say, okay, let me give you an example. Like, women want to be taken care of, right? So if I say this like as my feelings, you're gonna be like, okay, what's the substantial evidence that all women want to be taken care of, right? So this looks like arbitrary to me. When I give you a similar analogy, I give you a similar.
That's not arbitrary though. But here's the thing: that's not what arbitrary means. Like, for example, I can say that all of your morality is arbitrary because you obviously, like, let me ask you this: you're an ex-Muslim, so I would assume you're either agnostic or atheist, right?
Right.
So which one are
Well,
you? Are you agnostic or atheist?
well, my atheism doesn't have anything to do with this. Like,
It does
it
though.
just
Wait,
no,
you
like
want to
it
know why it
just
does though? Wait, hold on. I'll explain to you why it does. Because
wait.
you
I'm
wait,
sorry.
hold on.
Okay.
It has everything to do with the conversation because you said I don't really care about disproving Islam. I care about the morality. But the point is, as an atheist, you have no moral ethical framework to stand on and critique Islam because your morals come from your feelings.
No, it's like I'm like stuck when it comes to Islam. I'm like stuck in like, I'm talking to you as if I am adopting Muslima, right? I'm talking to you from that standpoint. When it comes to my atheism, like, it's not because I want to do whatever I want. It's not because the lack of morals in that worldview. It's just because like I lost hope, like, you know, in God. You know what I mean? Like, when
Yeah, but from what standpoint?
right.
That's my question. From what, like, the point that I'm making is that when you come here and you obviously say I feel as if this is immoral, I think this is immoral and so on and so forth. The problem is when you make a claim that something is immoral, you from your own position are presupposing a moral framework when you say that, right? And if you're presupposing a moral framework, then the first thing I can say to you is, why do I accept your moral framework, whether an atheist or not? Because even if, let's pretend that you're not like an atheist, let's pretend you're not. Even if you're not an atheist, you still have some sort of a moral framework when you say, I think this is immoral. Because then I'm going to ask you, okay, from what standpoint is it immoral? According to who is it immoral?
Well, I think it's basic justice, it's basic fairness.
Yeah, but basic
You
according to
know,
who?
all those. I'm not like trained like in atheistic apologetics or whatever that's called. I'm just I'm just layman. I just found this in my religion. I don't agree with this. I couldn't reconcile these morals with mine because I thought like my religion was fair, was there wasn't anything. Why would even like intercourse be allowed outside of marriage? When I just found this, when you tell me like this is my fitra, this is not my fitra. I'm sorry, this is not my
Okay,
fitra
but the
to.
point that I'm making is when
Yeah.
you say you don't agree with this, like for example, like a man being able to be intimate with a servant or whatever it may be, From what standpoint do you not agree with it? What is compelling you not to agree with it? From what standpoint? What moral framework do you have?
No, I just want to be nice to everyone. I just want to be kind to everyone. I don't want to have like this seems just like lustful to me. Like why would you have sex outside of marriage? Like
Yeah, but the point
I
is
don't
that
have
in
like
this situation, marriage or actually having some sort of a marriage, like a marriage contract, it's not possible. Like the point is, you're conflating categories here. This isn't zina, right? It's not zina because zina is marriage outside of legal bounds Islamically, right? So when a situation like this happens,
growing up, it's I've been told that you can't have sex outside of marriage growing up. I mean, this is at least like my culture. I feel like there's a lot like of hiding Islamic material from the public. Like
wait,
growing up,
how is
this
it
is
hiding Islamic material though? It's in the Quran. If you pick up the Quran, you're gonna find it.
yeah, but
No, nobody's
like you
hiding the
don't.
Quran.
Yeah, well, no one tells you this when like even when my last year of high school in an Islamic country, like the curriculum, like it doesn't say any of that. Like it's just about be nice. Like no one tells you, oh, you can have sex. You have milk
Yeah,
al
but
yamin basically. Like
because
no one
issues like
tells
for
you this.
example, for example, because topics like this and delving into what we just did when we were talking about the madahib and when we were talking about, for example, the rights that these people have and so on and so forth. I hope you know that like 99.99% of people aren't going to delve into these issues because number one, these are niche fiqhi topics that people don't typically study, and you're not going to learn it in a typical high school in an Arabic speaking country. They're not going to teach you in-depth fiqh, like the fiqh of, like, for example, like the fiqh of
Yeah,
marriage
no, I'm
and
aware,
all of these
but
different things. You're not going to study
yeah.
these things in depth, right? So them not teaching you it, well, the average person isn't going to be learning it. These are scholars that are delving into these issues. These are students of knowledge that are delving into these issues and studying these rights and so on and so forth. They're not going to teach it to you in like the 12th grade, right? Or at least do a deep dive on it. And it's not hidden at all. You can open up the Quran,
Yeah,
probably read it for an hour, and you'll come across these ayats.
yeah, no, no, that's exactly what happened to me. Like I was trying like to memorize Surah Al-Mu'minun, and then just the first few verses, like literally 5, 6. Then I discovered there's something called Milk al-Yamin. These people, you can like I'm sorry, you can grape them, you can do this, you can do
The
that.
Quran doesn't say that. What?
Because I don't believe it was a concept back then, though. I don't
It
believe.
was. It literally was. Do you
Because she
think?
was considered your property, and then you basically can't
Wait, hold
grape
on,
your
but
property.
yeah,
Like
but hold on. But if being property means that you can't violate them and you have rights over them, then why do you have to, for example, not overburden them and not harm them? And if you slap them, you have to essentially free them and so on and so forth. Because if we want to be consistent with this property thing, and this means that you can't grape them, you can't assault them either. So why does the Prophet ﷺ say that that is haram and that you have to free them in order to expiate for that sin? Like being
so,
property doesn't diminish the fact that you have rights, quote unquote. And even property here, what does it mean to be property?
so the Prophet couldn't say like in one hadith, oh, by the way, these women don't grape them. Like he specified a lot of
Do you not
things.
think, wait, hold on, do you not think that that's intuitive? Obviously, like for example, with
Like
the
he can't say
example, wait,
this.
hold on, like wait, I'll give an example with Maria al-Qabtiyya. You know who that is, right?
Yeah,
No or yes?
yeah. Like the
Yeah, did the
gifts
Prophet
from the
sallallahu
prince.
did the Maria al-Qabtiyya, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the slave woman that he had,
Right.
did he ever force himself on her? No.
But she
Are
never
we?
converses to Islam, though. No.
She never
I
converted
mean,
to Islam? I'm not too sure. But she became Walad. And she was freed. He never forced himself on her, ever. And we follow his example as Muslims, correct? We never see.
where does it say he didn't? I mean,
Yeah,
where
there's
does
no
it say that?
evidence to conclude that he did. There's no evidence to conclude that he did.
Yeah, there you go. There's nothing that proves either either side, but the
No,
point
wait,
is,
no. But
I
here's the
don't think
thing.
it was
You
a concept. I don't think it's like this is why like even
But
if we
if it's
try to
not a
search
concept, wait,
something
hold on.
about
But if
consent,
grape of a slave is not a concept, then why were the Sahaba applying the had for people who did it, regardless of whether or
about
not
that,
it's whether or not, because there is a story about, for example, somebody forcing himself on a servant woman that is not his. The point is, you're saying that because they're property, it can't happen, quote unquote, or because they're servants or whatever it may be, it can't happen. But the point is, if these people are second class citizens to which they cannot be harmed and so on and so forth, that the man in this context isn't just being applied the head on or getting punished because he's being intimate with somebody that's not rightful for him, but it's emphasized that he forced her, right? If
okay,
he
yeah,
if it's
show me
wait,
that.
hold on. And if it's emphasizing that he forced her, what is the significance of emphasizing that it was forced if it wasn't a concept?
Yeah, because it's not his like that other man that do it like the story you're talking about. It's not like his own slave or right.
Yeah, but the point that
Like
I'm making is that if it wasn't a concept, it wouldn't have been mentioned in the hadith.
no, I'm saying you can't grape your own property, but that other man, like other men,
Wait, hold on. I have a
who
question. In
don't own
Islam,
that.
do you think that you can grape your wife?
I think it's improbable. I don't know, like well,
The answer is
I know
no,
the
obviously. The
angels
answer
curse
is no.
her. Well, I know the angels like curse her, but
Okay, but you
you
the
never pulled
answer is
that. You
no.
never pulled that. Okay,
The
you
answer
never
is
pulled
no.
that
You cannot.
reference. Do you have it or
Quote the reference
like
about you not being able to force her.
no the story about the man who
Oh, the
forced
story about the
himself
man
upon
that
yeah
forced himself upon
yeah.
the slave. Sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's right here.
Thank you, by the way, for giving me time.
Got you. Where is this hadith? Abi Dawood Haswardos. This would be a great time to have colony, I swear.
Like if it says
I
that
got you. Thank you.
it's her own master, okay, like
Then خلاص, you're good.
yeah, then خلاص yeah. If it says that, then yeah.
Yep, this is the one. Wait, are you not requesting anymore? Yep, this is the one.
No, I am here. I'm
Oh wait,
sorry.
no, I was
I'm
talking
here.
to somebody
Oh,
else. All right. So, and this is the hadith. Says, okay, ignore all the text messages, somebody sent it to me. But let's put it on the screen so we can read. I don't think that's big enough, but we're gonna act as if it is. Okay. We'll zoom in for reading purposes. Check my server. I got it sent to me. So, it begins and it says, they captured a woman who was a beautiful bride to be and amazed Dirar. He asked his companions for her and they gave her to him, and then he had intercourse with her. When he returned from the expedition, he regretted what he had done and he collapsed in dismay. It was referred to Khalid and told him what he had done. Khalid said, indeed, I have made her permissible, so he was allowed to essentially be with her, right? And wholesome for you. Dirar said, no, not until you write to Umar. And then Umar replied he should be stoned to death. And he had passed away from natural causes by the time Umar's letter arrived. Khalid said Allah did not want to disgrace Dirar ibn al-Azwar. Ash-Shafi'i said, if a man forcefully acquires a slave girl and then has intimacy with her thereafter, and he is not ignorant, the slave girl is taken away from him, he is fined and he is punished for adultery. So he takes a slave. It doesn't mention her being somebody else's, right? This is a Shafi'i. A Shafi'i says if a man forcefully takes a slave girl and has intimacy with her, and he is not
wait,
ignorant.
this is Shafi'i?
Yeah, this is a Shafi'i's comment on this hadith.
he is commenting on this.
Yes, a
Oh,
Shafi'i.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
well,
if a
I
man,
heard.
so you're reading it, right? A Shafi'i says if he forcefully takes the girl and is intimate with her, then she is taken away from him. He is fined, so he pays, and he's also punished for adultery, which means he's stoned to death. He gets the head. Is that clear enough for you?
Yes. But I heard like this one is about like when the war booty wasn't distributed properly.
Where did you hear that from?
Well, it doesn't say there that he
Where
had
does it say that?
written not until you write to Omar, like he should have took permission to
No, not until, wait, hold on, because basically
like to
it says
attribute
not until.
each one's booty
No.
spoil.
When it says not until you write to Umar, this is in response to the person that said that he was fine, that he was not blameworthy. And then he says, no, we need to seek what Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu says, and then Umar issued that the person should be stoned to death. And then before he could have even been stoned, then he passed away before he could be stoned. And then a Shafi'i says that if a man acquires a slave girl forcefully, and has intercourse with her thereafter, and he is not ignorant, the slave girl is taken away from him. And then he is fined, and then he is punished for adultery. So he gets the had as well. And it mentions forcefully.
Well, it says if a man forcefully acquired a slave, like he doesn't have the haq to have her yet or to have her. So I don't
No,
see
but
anywhere
here's the
here
thing.
where
This
it
is in the
says.
context of war. At the beginning of the hadith, it's in the context of war. It talks about them essentially raiding a particular village or whatever it may be. So all of the stipulations are met prior. Remember? Like at the beginning of the hadith, all of the stipulations are met. So there's no stipulation that's not met.
Okay, but isn't he like where does it say that it's his own, like it's attributed, like that woman is attributed to him, like that khalas
It
it's
says
his
that
own
she was
slave.
given to him. She was given to him. It says at the
It says
beginning of the
that? I'm
hadith.
sorry, I might
Yeah, at the
have
beginning of the hadith it says they captured the woman and she was given to her. Sorry, she was given to him. They gave her to him. And then they were intimate after. It says at the very beginning, she was given to him.
She was given to him and he forced himself upon her.
It says that they had intercourse, and then a Shafi'i says that it was forceful. He forcefully acquired her and then had intimacy.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's clear, thank you. I still have like to do more research on that one, like what is it about, because you know those narrations, like any narration basically, they have this language that they talk with that is unfamiliar to me, like even if it's like it sounds like old women speaking or something like that, like no offense, but yeah, like this is just my impression though, like any hadith though, I mean any narration in the sunnah, right? I hope you got my point though. I'm sorry if I'm the only one, but so there's this, you maybe cleared up a little bit of tension, but yeah, I can be back again, like when it's talking about markets, slave markets.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Mhm.
We can talk about that next time if you want to come back.
Okay, thank you so much
All
for
right, for
giving me
sure.
your time. I'm so sorry. Okay,
All right,
thank
take
you.
care. All right,
Thank
peace
you so
out.
much. Goodbye.
Ready? Bye. You guys are low-key devious in the comments, bro. Plug the Discord low-key. We made a Discord, guys, but it's small and there's no notes in there. It's just so we can all talk and share references and if anybody has questions and stuff. I'm gonna end the live, but I'm gonna plug the Discord before I end the live. Oh, you've been waiting? Oh shoot, wait, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Never mind, I'm not gonna end. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Indeed I can. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking.
So I just have a question. Where what's your reason? Like, I just want to understand, like, just your reasons and stuff for why Islam is the religion that treats women the best.
Yeah,
Like,
because
one of your main
relative.
reasons,
Yeah,
some of your main reasons.
yeah, because relative to every other religious framework, Islam speaks the highest about women and praises women the most, relative to obviously how they are in society, how they should be in society, how they should be treated in society. For example, Islam emphasizes that the best of men within a society are those who are best to women. Over and over and over again, this is something that was emphasized. For example, on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's deathbed, the Prophet, whoa, oh, I just got banned. You have to be kidding me. There's no way. Bro, oh my days. No. What the heck? Nah, that's not fair. That is just not fair. Oh my god. I got banned. Okay, well, I'm gonna appeal this anyways, so who cares, but okay. Yeah, we're gonna appeal that, inshallah. I got hit. They took my TikTok, bro. That's devious. Nah, that's not even fair, bro. That's not nice. Okay, how do I do this? Okay, we're gonna get that appealed, but till then. Okay, what the heck? Ah, bro, I hate this. I hate when this happens. We're gonna deal with that in a bit, inshallah. Oh, that's not good. I hate this. I really hate this. Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here, inshallah. That's so messed up. I hate when this happens, but yallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May Allah bless and preserve all of you. Allahumma ameen. And yeah, guys, that's